So today we're going to be going through communicating with couples, less friction, more viewings. And this is taken from our 2026 UK wedding report, which was launched in January. So hopefully you've got your hands on a copy of that. And this is us really honing in on, well, this essentially, which is how not to piss couples off. We really don't want to do that in our communication with couples, and the report has shown that there are couples that get frustrated with communication. So we're going to show you how not to do that. So we're just going to do some quick introductions. I'm Dorothy, head of partner success at Bridebook. Been with the company for around 5 years, working with lots of fantastic venues and bringing you upskilling content, learning lots about the industry and sharing that knowledge. I've got a very special guest today, Zoe. You'd like to intro yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Zoe. Some of you may know me from my previous work at various different wedding publications, but in January, I joined Bridebook as their global head of brand, and I'm very excited to be a guest on this webinar today and to see some names I recognize in the chat.
Yay, love that. Ellie, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. So you might know me. My name's Ellie Morrissey. I'm the senior account manager here at Bridebook, and I've worked with a lot of you. I specialise in Ireland, but also at other counties like Greater London, Rutland, and Suffolk.
Amazing. And Dylan.
Hi there. I've also seen a few names that might recognize me as well. But yeah, I'm Dylan. I look after mainly Southeast, South England and a little bit of Wales. And yeah, one of the venue consultants here at Bridebook.
Amazing. Thanks all for joining me. We've got a lot of knowledge and expertise on the call, which is really great. And if you are watching and you want to tag us on Private Business or LinkedIn, please do. We always love to see you enjoying yourselves, and we can always reshare. So let's focus our minds on today's aim and what we're actually going to try and equip you with, and what the objective of this kind of session is. So we want you to leave with a better first response system. So a first response to couples has kind of evolved, and it is doing something different to what it used to. So Zoe and I will dive into that, but that is essentially what we would like to leave you with. So what that actually means, we've got a 5-point non-negotiable standard for every inquiry. Zoe has created a very special acronym for this, which we'll go into later. Also a simple inquiry to viewing to booking flow that actually reduces drop off, so that you're not losing couples along that journey. A copy and paste first response structure. So we're going to give you a structure that feels personal, that you can use in your inquiry responses, and hopefully create something that is copy paste but that you can amend. And then a viewing booking approach that removes friction. So we'll give you some tools on how to execute that together. So let's get into it.
Yeah, so we know that couples are contacting venues with clear intent. This is something we saw in our wedding industry report. It comes out every year. Hopefully you will have all had a chance to dig into it. We survey around 7,000 couples, so it is the largest wedding survey that is run each year. And the data this year showed us that over half of couples are contacting a venue to arrange a viewing. They're not contacting to ask questions, to get to know things, that they are contacting with the purpose of coming to see the venue. And an incredible 79% of those people, of the couples, who are acquiring, are booking within the first 4 weeks of contact. And that actually rises to 92% in the first 2 months. So when a couple is getting in touch with you, they do have a clear intent to move forward.
Yeah, they definitely do. I know I've been speaking to a lot of my friends recently that have been getting in contact, and they have been quick off the mark to book their venue, like quicker than in previous years. So it's definitely speeding up. So what does this tell us? Zoe, do you want to go through some of these?
Yeah, so what we can see from this is that couples are doing their homework. We know they're doing a lot of research before they make contact. So you're not seeing as many basic information requests. Instead, you are seeing requests to move forward with viewings. This means that their first reply should actually be viewed as a conversion moment with potential to convert that couple to a booking, not a moment to give them loads of information, because they should already have that information from their research. And the best performing venues that we see here at Bridebook have really clear information online And this is cohesive across all platforms. So you'll see the same information on the website, on any directory listings, on any content about the venue. They have a strong first interaction that feels personable, feels excited, feels warm, feels welcoming. And then there's an easy flow from arranging that viewing to actually booking with the venue.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that, Zoe. And in the previous webinar that we did, we spoke about the journey to this point. So if you didn't catch the last webinar, we'll send around the recording after this one as well. But that basically looks at all the information that takes a venue to this point of where they're ready to book their show round, kind of 4 weeks after they've contacted you. So yeah, that's a really good one to watch on the journey to this moment. So communication friction is costing bookings. Zoe, tell us about this.
So we said we don't want to piss off couples, and couples are telling us what is annoying them. 81% of couples that we surveyed said that they had felt frustrated with responses from venues at the start of their journey, which is a pretty shocking stat. And I know it from my own friends who are getting married as well. They've come back to me and said things like, can you believe that they just sent me this? Or can you believe that they responded to me? They tried to WhatsApp me when I'd actually, given them my email address, and all these different things. And the biggest sources of frustration from couples that they shared with us were that their specific questions were not answered. And this is because they were being given a generic or templated reply that just went out one size fits all and didn't take into account anything that the couple had actually addressed in their initial message. And that also they felt too long. They also didn't like being pushed into a different channel. So you get an inquiry through one platform and you reply through another. Sometimes couples are inquiring with multiple places at once, and it's really hard for them to keep track of who's replying to what when you don't keep it in the same channel. They're also frustrated by barriers to getting real pricing and information. And we know that there is a lot more transparency these days than there used to be, but there are still questions that couples have. And it's really tough when you want to feel like you trust a venue and you love it, but you're not sure how to get that information about how much it's actually going to cost you or what you can actually do there. And then finally, slow replies or complete ghosting. And I know this one goes both ways with the ghosting, but a slow reply is a lost lead.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of my friends getting married at the moment, and we've got obviously the girls group chat, and a lot of the things that are coming in are, can you believe this venue just called me Oliver and her name's Olivia? And even small tiny details like that. Obviously you're in a hurry and you're replying to lots of people, and okay, you've put Oliver, and you've got a high volume of couples that you're responding to, but to that one bride, groom, whoever couple, it can really mean that they feel that you're not taking their kind of wedding seriously. And I'm not saying
especially, when the other venue they've inquired with has come back and said, hey, Olivia, love the sound of your engagement, Amalfi Coast, what a dream. Let me tell you, we actually have a really great Italian wine that comes with our meals that would be perfect for you. That when you're up against others, you have to be so careful.
Yeah. And obviously we're not saying venues on this call are going to do that. We're not saying that, guys. But if there is the off chance that you might be addressing someone as an Olive or an Oliver rather than an Olivia, and yeah, exactly like you say, Zoe, those personalized moments just mean so much to people, especially with AI, especially with like everything being so instantaneous and automated. The wedding day is anything but instant and automated. It's the complete opposite. So yeah, thank you for those points. So we're going to jump into 5 non-negotiables to convert more couples. And Zoe, do you want to talk us through Spark?
Yes. So I love a mnemonic. I love an acronym. It really helps me to remember things. I was having a lot of fun putting this one together. Originally, I wanted to call it craps, got vetoed, but we can think of it, depends on your style, It's about why you and your team should give craps about the responses and the inquiries, or how you can bring a spark to your responses. And a spark is a little bit more palatable, I think. So we'll go with that today. So starting with S, simplify your booking process. And a great way to do this is to sit down with somebody who doesn't work with you. That could be, somebody in your family, it could be a friend, and watch them try and make a booking with you and see how easy they find it. It needs to be as simple and as accessible as possible. Make sure that you are promoting how to book with you at every available opportunity, because if people find it even the remotest bit difficult, especially now we're transitioning to Gen Z couples who are used to instant online gratification, it's a chance to lose people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've had it in the past where, not necessarily with venues, because as you all know, I am not yet married after 5 years at Bridebook, but I've been on a lot of booking sites where it's been like 5 or 6 clicks to get to the end thing. I think the other day I was looking for a refund policy, which is not the same, but it took me ages and I did give up in the end. And obviously, if I was a couple trying to book something, I would have given up. I would have gone with a competitor. You know, I wouldn't have carried on the process. So yeah, fantastic point. P.
Personalize your responses. A thoughtful response goes a really long way. And this doesn't mean that every single response has to be custom tailored and written just to the couple, because, you know, we know you're busy. We know you get a lot of inquiries, but just adding space in your template for a personalized first line, making sure you use their names, little details like that that don't take much time to tweak will go a really long way.
Yeah, absolutely. AKA Oliver, Olivia. Hopefully
Yes.
that one sticks in your mind. If anyone's got any questions throughout this, by the way, please don't be shy. Do put them in the chat. They'll come straight through to us. So yeah, if you have any questions throughout, do put them in. A.
Answer the questions they asked. And this goes for any kind of inquiry ever, not just a wedding one, but it's so frustrating when you email someone with questions and they reply with something that just doesn't address them at all. So make sure you do take the time to go through the inquiry and see if there's any questions the couple have asked that you can answer, because again, it leads into the previous one and helps you really personalize your response.
Yeah, I will say something we tried to do on Bridebook is make it as easy as possible for the couple to kind of like tick the information that they would like to receive from you. But on the venue side, occasionally, quite often, we see quite a lot of responses that don't necessarily like address exactly what was asked for, or you're sending a brochure when they haven't asked for one, or pricing when actually they haven't asked for that either. And obviously it is really important to be transparent with pricing, but you know, if you're sending them a bunch of resources that they actually are not at the stage at looking at, or they already know, it's becoming that kind of like frictious moment. So yeah, great point. R is for
replying in the same channel. So keep responses in the same channel to avoid confusion, because I mean, we know from our own experience, when couples are newly engaged and they're in the initial dream state, they are inquiring with a lot of people. And if you are responding to a Bridebook message via email, they may not attribute as the same person, especially if your email comes through from Rachel at the barn, and you know they know that they've contacted 3 different barns. It's going to get confusing. So keeping things in the same channel allows you both to keep track of the conversation and keep your communication in one place until you can suggest moving it to a different platform.
Yeah, definitely. I had a question recently from a venue actually that was about WhatsApp, and it was like, if a venue, if a couple, sorry, reaches out to you on WhatsApp, do you keep the conversation there? Or if it's like Instagram messages, what would you advise in that instance, Zoe? Would you be led? Yeah.
I would always advise reply in the same channel, but if it is not a channel that you frequently use, for example, Instagram or WhatsApp, you can always say at the end of that first message, I'd love to move this conversation to email. Would you be happy with that? And let them know that, and then follow, because they might say, no, sorry, I don't look at my emails. You know, if they're like me, they have 6,000 unread emails. They might say, I prefer here. And then it's up to you whether you can maintain the conversation and whether it's someone you want to, you know, do business with, or, you know, it might be a bit of a red flag to you that they're not going to be very responsive. But I would say always reply first in the same channel, and then you can suggest moving it to another one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And K
is to keep it short and sweet. Think light and conversational and avoid bombarding them. And Dorothy already addressed this about sending, you know, brochures, pricing, etc. when they haven't been asked for. That can feel quite overwhelming to couples in that first phase. It may not be something they're ready for yet. It may be something they already know about and they feel like you're clogging up their inbox unnecessarily. So for that first communication, just stick to a little bit of light personalization, questions that they've asked, and then just a short, sweet conversational tone overall.
Nice.
And
So this is just a little summary of this brilliant acronym. It could be CRAPS, it can be Spark. You can land it with your team however you want, but this is just a nice summary that I think we should maybe be challenging ourselves on our inquiry process and our show round booking process, and yeah, really trying to understand like where the pain points are and what can be changed to alleviate that, especially as we're coming up to a big period of time where couples are going to be wanting to book in show rounds. Like engagement season has kind of come to like its low point, and all of those couples that have got engaged in that time period are going to be looking, deciding, choosing. So yeah, it's really key.
Yeah, screenshot it, take a photo. We'll share the slides afterwards as well, so you have access to them. But I just think it's really helpful to have that to share with your team.
Definitely. Nice. So we are going to welcome our account execs onto the stage, the metaphorical stage. So Dylan, do you want to take us through?
All right, thanks so much, Dorothy. Yeah, I think from my side, I'm going to obviously reiterate a lot of what's been spoken about already, just as far as Sparks is concerned, and just the day-to-day interactions with venues. But yeah, for starters, obviously same channel, as mentioned, keeping the conversation where the couple reached out. I mean, I'm not young by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm terrible with my emails. So if, I've sent someone a message on Instagram and then they sent me an email by respond, I would probably miss that for a good few weeks. And considering how quick, couples tend to move on making decisions these days, you want to keep it in the same channel because that's where they're expecting a response. And yeah, the short and purposeful, it's really important. You don't want to overwhelm couples. Having too much information. Again, you're dealing with younger couples, shorter attention span. So you really want to grab them in that initial message and ensure you're responding to what they've reached out for. And one of the key things is always driving next steps, driving the conversations. Whereas if you're just sending a whole load of information, and then it just kind of kills the conversation. So you want to be able to drive next steps with the couples and encourage the communication with them. Just moving on to the next one.
I think I have.
Oh, sorry, just a bit later. So yeah, answering the questions. Again, Dorothy alluded to, couples inquiring and asking for pricing details and they're getting a brochure or, especially with that stat of 54% of couples are now reaching out in order to book a viewing, especially in the case where they ask for a viewing availability and you've not sent any sort of dates, calendar links, anything along those lines. So you really, really want to be able to answer all their questions. And again, that's really going to help drive communication with the couples. And that's what you want is that communication to just continue. And then the personalizing side of things. Again, in terms of a lot of the venues I deal with, there's a lot of inquiries coming through. So to do an individual message to each couple is really difficult. But you do want to be able to ensure that you are touching on a few of those personalized points, and I'll speak to a few of the tools that we have to help in that aspect. But yeah, you really want to have as much personalization as possible because that's something that the couples are going to see value in.
Absolutely. I just want to jump in and ask a question that's been asked to us, Dylan. So Helen says that quite often couples are sending a generic request for a brochure and availability, and it's hard to personalize as they haven't given any information to personalize a response to them. I think my answer to that would probably be that within Couples Manager in Bridebook, obviously in Bridebook I'm talking about, not necessarily externally, there are certain pieces of information that we always ask couples for at the beginning of their journey. So I would definitely be not necessarily just relying on the the request from them and seeing what's in there, but also looking in Couples Manager and seeing what do I know about this couple? What information has Bridebook given to me about this couple that I can use? Is it a spring wedding? What's their budget, etc., just so that you can like personalize that response. Zoe or Dylan, do you have any advice for when it's obviously not on Bridebook and they don't necessarily get all of that information, and it's just a generic, like, I'd like to see your brochure, or
Yeah, I can jump in here. I think if it is a generic request, give them the information they've asked for, of course, but then also ask a couple of qualifying questions. You know, when are you looking to get married? What budget are you working to? What is it about the venue that caught your eye? Something that, you know, even just when did you get engaged? Something that draws them into a conversation and encourages them to reply.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, as long as you're driving next steps and keeping the conversation going, it's always going to work. Cool. And then, as mentioned, just in terms of using the Brightbook tools as far as the direct messaging is concerned, so we've set it up in a way to obviously try and help you as venues to automate it a little bit, but also not losing that personal side and just sending out generic responses. So you've got your message templates and you've got your follow-ups. And what I like to move towards sometimes is encouraging having a template or a follow-up set up that pertains to specific things that couples ask about. So be it pricing, viewing availability, wedding availability, that sort of thing. So you can have a preset template, but then you can tailor it to the couple. Granted, we do have our smart variables, so you can automatically have the couple's name filled, their wedding date, guest count, that sort of thing. But then you can tailor it a little bit more to if you've maybe started a conversation with the couple or just in generally what they've inquired for. So as I say, you can set up the templates to each of, the main questions that tend to come up with couples and have that, set up to make your life a little bit easier and speed up the process, especially in the case of dealing with quite a good number of inquiries. And yeah, that's all from me.
I think as well, it's a really good point, Dylan, like linking to somewhere where your availability for show rounds is like always on, and saying here's our availability for show rounds, like feel free to book in. You don't have to change that for every single response, like you can keep that there and it will feel personal because you've started off the message in a personalized way. And obviously, you wouldn't necessarily include a show round link if maybe you were right at the beginning of the conversation, but it's a good option to have there every time so that they can, should they want to. Ellie.
Exactly.
Right, yes, this is me. I'm probably going to repeat some of the points we've already made, just to kind of reiterate them. So kind of, again, what everyone else has kind of been talking about is they want to make as frictionless as possible the journey for couples when trying to book a viewing. So obviously with the wedding report, with our 7,000 couples when they came back to us answering, and we found that 62% of our couples said they had frustration in trying to book a viewing, and also 51% experienced frustration with availability to book access. So what this essentially tells me is we have an issue with communication slightly and operations of actually booking the viewing as well. So with that, we want to make sure when you're having those sort of situations or couples telling us that, do you have, for example, your show on scheduler filled out to the maximum? Do you have all your availability available for them to book online? I mean, I book my hair appointment, restaurants, nail appointment online. We need to kind of move with the times with the younger generation kind of coming through. And also on that point as well is making sure you have lots of options. So for example, whether they come through the show on scheduler or a direct message on couples manager, don't go back to them with just one option of, yes, we would love to book a viewing, maybe Sunday 11 a.m. Give them alternative options as well, 2 to 3, if not more, coming through, so they can pick from a bunch of them.
Nice, thank you, Ellie.
No worries. And that links nicely onto my show on scheduler. It'd be great to know actually if you can put in the comment box how many of you actually are using this currently. I know I speak to my venues about it all the time, probably sick of me saying it so much. But it is so useful. What we really want to make sure we're doing is making sure the couple's journey is as convenient as possible for them. Because what you will essentially find is if there's two venues a couple is looking at, both barns, both very similarly priced, similar locations, one is more convenient in their process of booking, I would lean towards that. So you want to stay above the competition and be as convenient as you can for the couple. I also personally think it's quite convenient for you guys as venues as well. Obviously, you can put all your information on there. You can see what's upcoming in your year, month, week, and also get reminders of what's coming up as well. So it's super easy and hopefully simple for you guys as well, having them kind of coming in.
Thanks, Ellie. Just on this one, I think it's worth saying that Showround scheduler at the moment is in beta, and what that means, or beta, however you want to say it. And essentially what that means is we've launched it. Couples can absolutely book through the showround scheduler. We are enhancing it on the couple side of the app to make sure that we are funneling more and more couples through this kind of flow to make sure that we're getting the ones that are ready for show rounds to book. So just wanted to give venues some confidence that, you know, you initially might have set it up, you might not have necessarily have got like a really like loads of concrete bookings through it yet, but we're doing a lot of work on the couple side to make sure that this tool really becomes a place where couples can book straight in with you. So yeah, rest assured we're doing lots of work on that. Ellie?
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Dorothy. I think that's that section done. And then we have our brand new and exciting feature called Open Days. I've actually only even learned about this very recently as of today. But I know hopefully it's going to be launched in hopefully a couple of weeks. So stay tuned. It's very exciting. And essentially what we're trying to do is bring a new feature to you that will be linked alongside the show on scheduler within your profile, where couples, well, you would fill out the information. So when is your open day? What capacity you're looking for. Now, for example, you might say we want to have a maximum of 100 guests. And so, for example, if 100 book up onto your open day, you would then move on to a wait list. You can also always edit this as well in the future if you need to, but it kind of creates exclusivity, I guess, with everyone coming through. And you also get information in terms of their contact details, so phone number, email address, which is really exciting, all in one place. And also you can ask questions from the couple. So for example, like, have they booked their venue or not already? Which I know is often talking to my venues, a big one. Are they coming back because they want to speak to us directly or talk to suppliers, or are they a brand new couple? So we need to approach them slightly differently. Or for example, what is their budget, which is always very useful, and dates as well. So very exciting. And I can't wait to see as many of you using this as possible as it comes through.
Yeah, this is a really exciting tool that we have been working on building. It will launch in around 2 to 3 weeks time. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for how to use it. I know obviously quite a lot of venues will have run some open days already in like with the winter period, like Jan to March. But obviously, if you've got any more showcases, taster events, anything that you can essentially host as a group event, I think this will be a great tool for that. So yeah, just wanted to give you all a heads up because it's not even out, it's not even released. So to recap, this is kind of what we've talked about throughout this webinar. So this is your kind of first response structure that hopefully converts and has more of a likelihood of converting. So a personal opener, making sure that it's, you know, Olivia, not Oliver, etc., etc. Referring to their Amalfi Coast engagement if you have that information, not just assuming they're engaged. They might not even be engaged yet. I think Zoe and I have come across that example before where couple's not yet been engaged and the auto response has been congratulations on your engagement. 2 is answer their questions. So, you know, if they're asking for your pricing, hopefully they should have already seen that if your pricing is transparent enough. But if they're asking for availability to come for a show round, if they're asking to see a menu, do provide them with, you know, exactly what they're asking for to alleviate some of that frustration and not to piss them off. Number 3 is a clear next step. So propose viewing times and how to book, make that as frictionless as possible. We're kind of thinking instant booking, not a too much of a back and forth. 1 short qualifying question to keep the momentum, like Dylan stressed, obviously, keeping the conversation going and the momentum moving forward. And then just attaching the right assets that obviously correspond to the conversation that you're having. FAQs can be quite a good one for them to do some self nosying on, so they can go and answer maybe some of their own questions, and obviously keep it human, keep it in channel, and keep it moving. Anything to add to this, Zoe?
I don't think so. I think you've covered it all there. And as mentioned, we will be sharing the slides so you can apply this and the Spark framework to your responses.
Nice, thank you. We're getting like loads of comments, which is really great to see, about the product and product feedback. So I just wanted to give everyone confidence that is leaving us messages about product that I personally will be sending these to Alex, our product manager, especially on the venue side. So yeah, I'll make sure that all of the feedback that you've been giving us is getting back to him, and we can consider how we can implement that. If there's any of you that would be open to like talking more about your experience on Bridebook and how we might improve the tools for you within your experience, then send us a line. We'd be really happy to facilitate that so that your feedback gets heard, and we can hopefully improve our product for you. So this is just a first response checklist that you can print, you can share with your team. I think it's just worth using it and having it in your mind's eye, especially for coordinators when they're replying to inquiries, just to challenge ourselves a little bit. So use this to audit your templates and train new team members where you can, as well as Spark, which should hopefully be nice and digestible for any like team members that are responding to couples. So do you want to take us through the next steps for venues on this webinar?
Yeah, so I would love for everyone to leave this webinar with the following takeaways. Think about how you adapt your first response into a conversion tool, not an information dump. We're not bombarding couples with loads and loads of information. We are just giving them exactly what they want and need in order to convert. Putting pricing up front so couples can self-qualify. This is a really big one. There is still quite a lot of pricing ambiguity in the industry, and it does lead to ghosting, and it does lead to the kind of inquiries that waste your time as well. And then making booking a viewing as simple and as accessible as possible. And as I said, it's a really great idea to sit down with somebody and watch them use your website, tell them book a viewing with me, and see what they do, because there's no better way to understand, because you might think, well, it's really obvious. You go to page 3 on the menu, you click that button twice, you type in the password, and there you are. We've done it for years. But remember, people booking a wedding, they've never done this before. Usually they don't know what they're doing, they're overwhelmed, they're thinking of 50,000 things at once. They've all got TikTok brain these days, so we need to keep it as simple and as accessible as possible.
Definitely. Thanks, Zoe. So we've just got, I know we've run over by 5, but we've just got some time for some questions that have been submitted. And we also had a question in the chat as well that I might start with, which is just around the new Open Days feature. So Vicky's asked, will it be internally advertised or external to Bridebook on your socials? So it's a really good question. At the moment, we're going to be targeting couples that are on the Bridebook app in order to book open days with you. There's something that is already available on Bridebook called wedding fairs, which you might have used. That this is the next step, like above that, where couples can actually book in rather than just seeing that you've got a wedding fair available. So they're kind of like 2 channels that you can use on the app. We'll definitely think about how we can be using it on socials for like VenuePro experts that get promoted on social media. We could link directly to your open days calendar, for example. So that would be a way of us using it on socials. So I will chat to the content team about that and make sure that we've got that in mind.
And I can speak a little more to that as someone who oversees the content team. I would say as well that we know that the couples in the app are browsing with purpose. They're active users, they are engaged with it, and they want to book. So it will be like first port of call to go through and promote it on the app, because we know we've got the captive audience there. We still love to promote our venues on social as well, but we can't dial the audience down in the same way and segment it as we do on the app.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Zoe. So question 1 here is, we get loads of inquiries asking for pricing. How transparent do we need to be online without attracting loads of price shoppers?
Oh, I can't tell you enough. You need to be so transparent online. You don't, having visible pricing doesn't attract price shoppers. What it actually does is removes time wasters, because you will say, okay, we start at £30,000 for 80 guests, and that removes anyone then who does not have that in their budget. You're not going to waste time conversing and going back and forth with a couple who then say, well, what can you do for 5k? It's so important to be really clear with your starting prices, your packages, what you include for those prices. Make everything as clear as possible. Include peak pricing, off-peak pricing, minimum spends. And this will filter out price shoppers. This will ensure that you only get people who have seen the right information and know you're the venue for them, and you may get fewer inquiries, but they will be more likely to convert.
Absolutely. And we're seeing that in the wedding report. It was one of the most requested pieces of information that couples really needed when considering a venue. And the second question is, if couples are mainly contacting to book a viewing, what information should we include in our listing or brochure so that the inquiry is viewing ready and we don't repeat ourselves?
So I think it's a really nice idea if you could put together a little guide for the information that you often get asked about at a viewing. So for example, clarity on your capacity, how many guests can you have as a maximum, ceremony and reception, where you offer your wedding ceremonies with really nice photos of those places set up for ceremonies, what your catering model is, whether you charge for corkage, whether you allow external catering, in-house catering, what facilities you have, accommodation, and then what's included in your venue hire. These are things, just off the top of my head, stuff that you get asked about on viewings. Put together a little information pack. You can make it look really cute in Canva or something, and just need to know before you come to view. And that should give them everything they need, really, to be equipped to view your venue without you having to spend loads of time going back and forth. And pricing comes into that as well, obviously. Just be as clear as you can. You cannot lose a valuable ready to convert booking that was going to book with you by being too clear. But what you will lose is the people who are going to waste your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Zoe. If you have not had access to the full report, you can scan the QR code here. So we surveyed 7,000 couples. We're doing some more webinars throughout March and April as well, which are all signed up for now. Thank you for registering. So we'll be sending you those invites as the weeks go on. So yeah, the next webinar that is coming up is next Tuesday at 12 p.m. rather than 12:30, with Chris Wright, who is a manager at Retail, Hospitality and Leisure. It's a consultancy that helps venues in a range of different business areas. And obviously he's the man to talk about this, along with Mark Dawson, who was owner and operator of Brookfield Barn and is an industry expert, especially when it comes to changing policies, changing business rates. So yeah, you are already signed up for that, but we will be sending you the reminder email, etc., etc. So yeah, hopefully that will be a really, really good one for you all to join, with some action points off the back of it before the end of March. So yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to our speakers, Zoe, Dylan and Ellie, and thanks to everyone that joined today. I hope you found it useful, and we'll be passing on all your feedback about product to our product managers. And yeah, let us know what you think, and if there's anything else you'd like to hear about in the future, we're all ears.
Thanks, guys. Lovely to spend some time with you all.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you so much.